This person is about to get arrested for taking your. My beloved child, in the next few moments, you're going to hear something so unsettling, so breathtakingly unexpected, that your heartbeat may actually pause before it surges again. There is a person, someone you once trusted without question, who is now standing on the edge of consequences so heavy, even destiny seems to be holding its breath. And the reason? Not money, not secrets, not anything material, but something far more dangerous. They are about to get arrested for taking your peace, your innocence of trust, the quiet safety of your heart. They took what wasn't theirs to touch, what wasn't theirs to reshape, and now the universe has finally turned around to collect the debt they thought they'd never have to pay. Every second from now on matters, so don't blink, because the truth that's coming next is the kind that rewrites the story you thought you knew. There was a moment, silent, invisible, when everything changed for them, and they didn't even realize it. It happened the day they decided your emotions were theirs to play with, the day they thought your loyalty was something they could pocket like a stolen treasure. They walked around with your trust wrapped in their hands, believing no one would ever notice. But fate noticed. Life noticed. And now, authorities have stepped in too, but not the kind wearing badges and uniforms. These are cosmic authorities, the kind that arrest people not with handcuffs, but with consequences they can't escape. Right now, they're standing in a moment of terrifying awareness, because they're finally seeing that the thing they took from you wasn't small, wasn't simple, wasn't forgettable. It was something sacred. Something priceless. Something the world punishes hard when mishandled, the stability of your heart. And the revelation of this wrongdoing didn't come from spies, friends, or messages. It came from a truth they tried to bury but couldn't outrun. The shock they're facing is something they never saw coming, but you? You're about to see it unfold like a once-in-a-lifetime revelation, and it's going to leave you breathless. Right now, as you're hearing this, they're pacing, mentally, emotionally, because the universe has issued a warrant with their name engraved on it. A warrant for emotional theft. And this moment, this exact moment, is the turning point. They're replaying every scene where they drained your energy, took your effort, accepted your loyalty while giving you uncertainty in return. They're remembering how they held your attention but withheld their honesty. They're realizing that every time they walked away while you stayed, every time they stayed silent while you spoke your truth, they were quietly collecting things that didn't belong to them. And now, what's coming for them isn't revenge, no, it's far bigger. It's accountability. They're not being arrested for stealing objects, but for stealing the very things that make a person feel safe in love, your calm, your clarity, your emotional balance. And the shock on their face right now, it's the kind that only hits when someone finally understands that the person they underestimated is the one the universe is now protecting. Stay right here. Don't move. Because what happens next will shake the roots of the story you thought was already over. My beloved child, breathe carefully, because what you're about to hear next will pull you even deeper into the truth they never wanted exposed. At this very moment, that person is standing on the edge of an emotional collapse, not because someone confronted them, not because anyone shouted, but because the weight of what they took from you has finally become too heavy to carry. They thought your silence was permission, your patience was weakness, and your kindness was a doorway they could enter without consequence. But now the universe has flipped the script. The same pages they tried to tear out are the ones returning to testify against them. They can feel something closing in, something they cannot charm, manipulate, or escape. A realization so sharp it's cutting through their calm. The arrest has begun, not physically, but through the unstoppable chain of truth catching up to them. And they know, deep inside, that the one thing they stole from you has become the one thing that will expose them entirely. There's a scene unfolding right now, almost like slow motion. They're trying to hold on to their lies, but the truth is slipping through their fingers like sand they can no longer grip. They're remembering the nights you stayed awake while they offered you half-hearted words, the days you waited for clarity while they hid behind excuses, the moments you trusted their promises while they wandered with careless ease. Every choice they made, every emotion of yours they pocketed, is flashing back at them like a siren they can't silence. They once thought they were untouchable, someone who could take from your heart without ever facing the crash. But now they're realizing something terrifying: the universe doesn't forget. And right now, the universe is replaying every moment of imbalance, every moment of emotional theft, and it's leading them toward the consequences they thought belonged only in stories, not real life. They're not scared of losing things, they're scared of losing you, because now they see how rare, how genuine, how irreplaceable your heart actually was. Listen closely, because this next part is where everything shifts. Their mind is trembling with a thought that keeps getting louder. What if they finally see what I did? What if they finally understand what I took? That fear is their arrest. That panic is their sentence. They're realizing you weren't naive, you were loyal. You weren't blind, you were hopeful. And now that hope has stepped away from them, leaving them face to face with the emptiness they created on their own. They're feeling the cold shock of accountability for the first time, and it's hitting them harder than any words ever could. Right now, they'd give anything to undo what they did, anything to return what they took from you. But the universe doesn't allow rewinds, only consequences. And the most painful part for them? They know you're finally seeing the truth. They know the story is no longer in their control. Stay with me, because the next chapter will reveal what they're about to lose, and why it's far greater than anything they expected. My beloved child, what I'm about to reveal now is the moment where everything inside their world starts collapsing, slowly at first, then all at once. They tried to control the narrative for so long, shaping it the way they wanted, hiding what they didn't want you to see. But now the truth has turned into a storm, and it's circling them from every side. They can't run from it, they can't silence it, and worst of all, they can't lie to themselves anymore. Their mind is replaying every moment they took your emotional safety for granted, every time they acted like your heart was a tool instead of a treasure. And now, the emotional warrant the universe issued is tightening around them. They feel it like heat on their skin, this invisible arrest taking hold, reminding them that you were the one thing they were never supposed to mishandle. But they did. And fate isn't letting that go. Inside them, there's a battle happening. One part of them still wants to pretend everything is fine, that they didn't take anything from you. But the louder part, the honest part, is exposing their truth like a spotlight they can't escape. They remember the moments when you trusted them blindly, when you looked at them with sincerity, when you expected nothing but honesty in return. And instead of giving you the stability you deserved, they took your clarity, your peace of mind, your emotional balance. That's what's haunting them now. They didn't realize how rare your presence was until they started feeling the emptiness of losing it. They feel judged, not by people, but by reality itself. They're being forced to face what they did, and each realization is another step toward the emotional consequences they can't avoid. The fear they have right now isn't of punishment, it's of finally seeing how deeply they hurt someone who would have done anything for them. And right now, this very moment, they're rehearsing apologies they never had the courage to give. They're imagining the words they should have spoken, the truths they should have admitted, the loyalty they should have protected. They're realizing that what they took from you wasn't small, wasn't temporary, wasn't forgettable. They took something sacred, and now life is taking something back from them, their comfort, their control, their undeserved peace. They're feeling the emotional arrest closing in, not with force, but with truth. A truth they can't outrun this time. They know the next step of this story isn't about what they did, it's about what they're about to lose. And that loss? It's bigger than anything they ever feared. Stay here, because what comes next is the revelation that will show why their entire world is about to shift. My beloved child, hold your breath for this chapter, because now the universe isn't whispering anymore, it's roaring. The person who once walked through your life with careless confidence is finally feeling something they never expected, the full force of losing the one heart that ever loved them without conditions. And right now, as truth corners them from every direction, they're beginning to realize how deeply they underestimated the quiet strength inside you. They thought their actions would fade, that their mistakes would dissolve with time. But instead, every single thing they took from you, your peace, your clarity, your emotional safety, is now returning to them in a form so sharp it feels like reality itself is arresting them. Their mind is spinning, their chest is tightening, because the guilt they avoided for so long is finally catching up, and it's not letting them breathe the way they used to. There's something powerful happening inside them, a collapse of the stories they told themselves. They're thinking about every word you ever gave them from the depth of your heart. They remember how you trusted them even when you shouldn't have, how you held on when they gave you reasons to let go, how you stayed honest even while they played with shadows. And now, that contrast is haunting them. They're realizing that the emotional theft they committed wasn't invisible. It was recorded, moment by moment, in the universe's memory. Right now, they're imagining what it would feel like if the world knew the truth, if people understood how much you gave and how little they protected. That fear is gripping them tighter than any set of handcuffs ever could. They know your story deserves to be heard, they know your strength deserves to be recognized, and if anyone around you knew the weight you carried, their facade would collapse instantly. And my beloved child, before this truth continues, take a moment. If this experience resonates inside your heart, share it so more souls hear their own story, subscribe so you never miss the truth that protects you, and leave your voice where it can finally be felt, because your voice matters more than they ever made you believe. Now listen closely, because this moment is where everything shifts into destiny-level transformation. As they stand on the edge of losing you completely, something inside them is breaking open. They're replaying every conversation that could have saved what they destroyed, every chance they wasted, every emotion they mishandled. They're realizing you were never someone ordinary, you were the rare presence that only appears once in a lifetime. But they treated you like you'd always be there, like you'd always tolerate their silence, their inconsistency, their emotional taking. And now, they can feel that time has run out. The emotional arrest isn't a threat anymore, it's a reality. They're losing the right to your energy, your loyalty, your presence. And the pain they're feeling? It's the same pain you carried silently, except now they have no escape from it. Stay right here, because in the next part, the truth of what they're about to face will shake the ground beneath them. My beloved child, this is the moment where the universe turns the lights fully on, revealing everything they tried to keep hidden, even from themselves. Right now, they're standing in a silence so heavy it feels like the air itself is judging them. They thought they could walk away from what they took from you as if your heart were some replaceable object, as if your peace were something they could borrow and never return. But now the truth is surrounding them like a spotlight that won't blink. Every step they take feels shaky, every thought feels loud, because they finally understand that what they stole wasn't just trust, it was the version of you that believed in them without hesitation. And losing that version of you is the kind of loss that doesn't just hurt, it transforms people. It alters their future in ways they never imagined. Inside them, regret is rising like a storm. It's hitting them in waves they can't control. They're remembering the messages they left unread, the apologies they never sent, the confusion they let you sit in while they pretended everything was fine. They're replaying the moments when you needed reassurance, but instead they took your vulnerability and carried it carelessly. They're seeing now how much strength you had to show just to hold yourself together. And that realization is tearing through them with a force they can't stop. They're feeling something they once thought they were immune to, the weight of consequences. The emotional arrest that began as a whisper has become a sentence written into their future. They can't undo it. They can't rewind it. They can only sit in the awareness that they're the reason the most genuine soul they ever knew had to learn how to protect themselves from the very person they trusted most. And now, as the final truth of this chapter hits them with full impact, they're faced with a realization so undeniable it leaves them breathless. You were their anchor. You were the calm they took for granted, the softness they mishandled, the honesty they didn't match. And now, the universe is showing them the reality they tried to ignore. You're no longer standing where they left you. You've moved into a space of clarity, of strength, of emotional freedom. And that shift is what terrifies them the most. Because for the first time, they're feeling the emptiness of a world without your loyalty, without your presence, without your energy supporting them. They're realizing they didn't just lose you, they lost the version of themselves that felt safe with you. And that loss? It's the one consequence they can't escape, outrun, or deny. Stay close, my beloved child, because what happens next will reveal the final truth destiny has been waiting to show you. My beloved child, this is where the storm inside them breaks wide open. The emotional arrest that once felt like a whisper in the distance has now wrapped itself around their entire world, tightening with every truth they tried to run from. They're pacing inside their own mind, searching for an escape that doesn't exist. Every breath feels heavier, every regret feels sharper, because now they finally understand that the universe isn't punishing them, it's revealing them. Revealing the choices they made, the moments they avoided, the weight they placed on your heart without ever considering how fragile you were behind your strength. They can see you now with a clarity they never had before, the tenderness in your patience, the hope in your voice, the light you carried even when they dimmed parts of you. And that realization is crushing them with a force they weren't prepared for. They thought they would walk away clean, but instead they're standing in the ruins of what they destroyed, knowing it was their own hands that built the collapse. Inside them, a new fear is rising, one that doesn't come from losing control, but from understanding the truth they denied for too long. You were never the one who needed them, they were the one who needed you. They're reliving every moment when your presence made their life softer, calmer, safer. The way you understood their silence, the way you held space for their chaos, the way your heart tried to protect them even when they didn't protect you. And now, in the emptiness they created, they're realizing how deeply they depended on the comfort you offered so effortlessly. They're looking around at the people they chose over you, the distractions they thought were more exciting, the paths they walked thinking they'd find something better. But all those roads are leading back to the same truth. No one else ever matched the sincerity you carried in your soul. That truth isn't just haunting them, it's dismantling them. Because now they know the difference between attention and loyalty, between noise and connection, between convenience and genuine depth. And they're facing the painful reality that the only person who ever saw them beyond their flaws is the one they pushed away. And now, my beloved child, comes the moment that changes everything. They're realizing that the universe isn't arresting them for what they took from you, it's arresting them for what they can never get back. They can feel it in their chest, this hollowness they can't explain, this ache they can't silence. It's the ache of knowing you've stepped into a version of yourself that no longer bends for their confusion, no longer shrinks for their comfort, no longer waits for their clarity. They can sense the shift inside you, the rise of your strength, the glow of your healing, the steadiness of your new boundaries. And that shift is what's breaking them. Because for the first time, they understand that losing you isn't a temporary distance, it's a permanent consequence. They lost access to your heart, your softness, your unwavering loyalty. They lost the version of you who loved them without hesitation. They lost the chance to rewrite the story they ruined. And now, in the silence they once forced you to endure, they finally hear the truth. You were the one gift they were never supposed to mishandle. Stay with me, because what comes next is the final turn destiny has been preparing, where everything they once took becomes everything you rise beyond. My beloved child, this is the moment where destiny steps forward, removes the last layer of illusion, and shows the truth so clearly that even they can't pretend anymore. Right now, they're sitting in a silence that doesn't feel like peace, it feels like judgment. Not from the world, not from you, but from their own conscience finally waking up. They once believed they had all the time in the world to fix things, to return what they took, to soften the pain they caused. But time hasn't waited. And now, every choice they delayed has turned into a consequence they have to face alone. Their mind is trembling under the weight of realizations they never allowed themselves to feel before. They can't distract themselves, can't pretend, can't hide behind excuses anymore. The truth is too loud now. They mishandled the one heart that would have stayed forever. And that awareness is shattering them from the inside out. They're finally seeing the depth of what you carried, the wounds you hid, the strength you showed, and the love they never matched. And that clarity is the sharpest punishment of all. Inside them, Something is collapsing, a structure built on ego, carelessness, and the belief that you'd always be waiting. They're replaying the moments when they had the chance to protect your emotional world but chose comfort instead. They're remembering the way your voice softened when you hoped for honesty, the way your eyes dimmed when you felt them slipping, the way your heart stretched itself just to keep the connection alive. They thought you'd never walk away, never outgrow them, never find the strength they now see glowing in you. And that belief was their downfall. Because now they can feel the shift, the moment you stopped waiting, the moment you stopped believing their half-hearted promises, the moment your soul decided it deserved peace more than it deserved explanations. They didn't lose you when you cried, or when you questioned, or when you begged for clarity. They lost you the moment you became quiet. That silence was your turning point, and their breaking point. And now they're drowning in the realization that the world you're stepping into no longer includes a place for them. And now, my beloved child, we reach the point destiny has been preparing from the beginning. The emotional arrest they're facing isn't just about the trust they took from you, it's about the future they stole from themselves. By mishandling your heart, they didn't just lose your presence. They lost the path that would have made them better, steadier, more whole. You were the lesson they never learned, the blessing they never valued, the anchor they never protected. And now, the very thing they took, your peace, your emotional safety, your innocence of trust, is becoming your strength and their consequence. They can feel your transformation, the rise of your confidence, the calm in your energy. They can feel that you're no longer reachable, no longer waiting, no longer willing to shrink yourself for someone who couldn't see your worth. And that truth is the final strike of their emotional sentencing. They're not being punished by you, they're being punished by the absence of you. By the realization that the person they once took for granted has become the person they can never reach again. And as this chapter closes, destiny finally whispers the truth they never expected: you were never losing them, they were losing you all along.